Yeah.
So Bas, where are we?
Today we are at Mediamatic as a part of Queer Currents 220, and I'm showing my art show, Such Delicate Tenderness.
And when did you make all these drawings and the works, the other works?
I made these works in 2019 during a 3-month residency at the Tom of Finland Foundation. The Tom of Finland Foundation houses in a neighborhood in Los Angeles, and it gives erotic artists, young artists, opportunity to learn and work within the house foundation of the Tom of Finland Foundation, with a library and a workspace, and it's very inspiring.
And is this the house of Tom of Finland?
It is a house where Tom of Finland has lived and worked in a small community of other gay men. Yeah.
Okay. And how is your work influenced by Tom of Finland self?
Well, just before I went to LA, I watched a movie about Tom of Finland and his work, and actually that gave me much more insight about what he did and what he stood for, and it gave, because his work is very iconic and we all know it, but maybe we don't know so much about it or where it originates. And in a sense, it gave me much insight to watch this movie, and also to see that we might have much more in common with the reason we make work, or the what we achieve with the work, than I would have initially thought. So I'm not really per se inspired by his aesthetic, but I am inspired by what he accomplished with the things he created.
And you, of course, you have your very clear own signature in your work. And but did the work of Tom of Finland, did it change something, or did it do anything to the way how you work and the way of representing the images?
Well, when I arrived in Los Angeles, I realized, for example, that I'm living in a very small bubble here in the Netherlands. I maybe not enough get in contact with people that kind of outside of my bubble, and the Tom of Finland Foundation is a very nice and community-based foundation with a lot of volunteers from all walks of life, and that for me was very inspiring to see that his work in the historically, but still in the present creates space for people to be themselves, and also the importance of that there are spaces created for people to be themselves. And in that sense, that is something that was really an eye-opener for me, and that I realized also that I can still even more focus on what my work can mean and achieve for other people, the freedom that it can create for other people to be who they want to be. And that's also a message that I really want to bring across in this body of work that I created there in Los Angeles.
And because you mention it, it's of course, I think a lot of people think that Tom of Finland is very gay, but the freedom it gives makes it broader and makes it also more queer, because it's not only for gays. What do you think about that?
Well, I think his work originated from a very personal interest in male sexuality, and I think it caused a revolution for gay men to explore and express their sexuality. But this was once, and I think in the current society, it means much more to much more people. The freedom and the playfulness it evokes makes space for much more people than it maybe initially did. And I think that's why it was for me very inspiring and also humbling to be working at a community where, I mean, there were transgender people, there were people from all kind of walks of life working there, and I think in a sense the gay community could or can be very discriminating sometimes, but what I learned at the foundation is that it attracts a lot of people who are searching for freedom and personal freedom and sexual freedom. So I think unintentionally his work is creating that space in the here and now, and that I think is very cool, that one person's legacy can create all these opportunities and dreams for so many people.
So, and that's what you're doing, eh? You're sort of in the same situation as trying to give this dream and recognition of people looking at your work, experiencing what you're doing. You have the sort of same drive.
Yeah, for me it was definitely an eye-opener to be there and to be empowered to what I've always naturally done, to embrace this even more as a strength and as a goal. I mean, also with my more fashion-orientated work, I've always tried to make way for alternative ways for people to express their individuality, their beauty, and it was really good for me to see, okay, this is of great importance, what he is doing, but what he did, but also what I'm doing in the here and now myself.
Yeah. So, and you're moving a little bit from the fashion world to the art world.
Mm-hmm.
I think your work was always more art than fashion.
Yeah.
But what's the idea? Where do you want to go?
Well, during the economical crisis of 2014, when it was at its height, I was really sometimes a bit doubtful of the direction that I was going. I was doing a ready-to-wear collection I was presenting in London Fashion Week, and it was really nice, but it was missing sometimes that what I'm really living for is my initial creativity, the one that comes from your gut,
Mm-hmm.
really your urge to create. So I decided there and then around 2014-15 that I really wanted to focus again on that, what really makes a difference for me, and also that I wanted to focus more on the things that I think will last when I'm not here anymore. So it kind of really wanted to save my energy for the things that I think are the most important. So I kind of moved away from the ready to wear, but also from, for example, my hosting anti-fashion party and stuff. And I really wanted to focus on my creativity, and gradually from that moment I also started making textile art, which I think gives much more meaning to the working with textile than maybe the fashion does. And even though I've always worked very freely, I want to move towards a more autonomous way of working, because I think it is of great importance that I create from a very durable mindset, not to make things that can be worn and discarded, but to make things that are here to last.
Now you know that I really liked your show in Arnhem, and I thought that was one of the first, for me, very first example how you could step from out of the fashion world into the museum world or art world.
Yeah.
And I think you're very strong also in doing this installation thing. So not only the individual works, but also the installation. You can really make a difference with this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. For me, the exhibition in Arnhem, the retrospective, was really for me a chance to, within the walls or the context of the museum, to try a lot of new things. So we exhibited the fashion pieces, but I also could show drawings, glasswork, oil painting, my tapestries. So for me that was a really nice test case of where my creativity can kind of move toward. And to be honest, I'm really happy with the kind of open direction it's going.
Yeah, and so that do you think it's difficult if there's this stamp on you that you're a fashion designer to shift more to becoming an artist?
Yeah, it is difficult, but it's also difficult because sometimes even my own mind is kind of in the way, because why can't you do it all? And why does it have to be in boxes? I sometimes realize that even my own thinking is in the way of just throwing it all open. And sometimes I also realize, I have the idea, I need to step from my fashion work in order to go towards the more serious art career. But on the other hand, I've always worked so freely that it's a ridiculous thought to even think about it like that. But it is difficult to shake off that idea of the fashion designer, also because maybe in certain ways it's also a bit frowned upon, like it's frivolous or not serious. And I mean, I've always loved fashion and its expression, and I still do, and I still do think it's very important that it's here and it brings a lot to this world. Yeah, but it's difficult to shake it off. But maybe I should not care about
No,
what other people think.
you should not. But there is a sort of serious situation that artists can step into the fashion world, and there's no question about it.
Yeah.
And when someone from the fashion world steps into the art world, suddenly it's a problem.
But the thing is, it's actually funny that the fashion world in itself is very open-minded, because the way I have worked within the fashion industry in the Netherlands has always been fully embraced without any questions. And I realize now that when I'm moving towards different areas, that it's not always as easily accepted. And it's difficult to change those perceptions.
Yeah, but you make fantastic work, so the work will do it for
Yes.
you. Yeah. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, guys.